Hello and welcome to the King Heroes Journey podcast. It's been a little while since I've been here, and I have the great pleasure today of hosting Drew Couver, who is not yet in the house, if you want to call it, the house over here. So I'll stay to chat with you guys for a little bit. If you haven't met Drew yet, wow, he's a real powerhouse. You just got to wonder, it's a true sign of when people have real purpose in their life and how much energy they end up having as a result of it. So you're really going to love this guy. He is amazing. Bear with us. If he's having trouble, he's going to let me know with the StreamYard link. And come and say hello in the chat. I haven't seen you guys for a while, although, I'm a split personality now with Beth of Fresh Air and the King Heroes Journey podcast. If you don't know, Beth of Fresh Air is usually at this exact time on Friday afternoons every single week, except today because I wanted to host Drew, and this was the only time that he was available. So I gave over on the Beth of Fresh Air for this time only. And just while I have the time, I'll let you know that there's another interview coming up May 11th. This is this coming Monday. And it is with the founding drummer of Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. Have you guys ever heard of Bella Fleck and the Flecktones? You might not have. That took me right back to my childhood, the Winnipeg Folk Festival. And they were here at least once, maybe more than once. Their band is amazing, just actually real music. And when I heard it, and I was listening with another friend that knew of them, and actually shout out to Sean Alger, who that was. And we're just there's some real music right there. Very powerful and amazing. And now he's independently doing his own work. He was at Confluence. We had a chance to sit down and we were introduced because he's a fan of the hero's journey. And I was like, oh, well, I got to talk to that guy. So it was really fun to meet him, and he did end up joining in with Eileen McCusick's band. By the way, Eileen McCusick should be coming on for an interview. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be scheduled. She said yes, and said it also might take a little bit of time for her to get that up and running. And I'm also going to be having Don Lester coming on, who I met in person at Confluence. That will be May 15th. So next week, Friday, for the Beth of Fresh Air. She'll be coming on that show. It was a really good fit to have her on. Something else that's happening is the end of the False Self course is starting tomorrow. I'm hoping you've heard of it. You've seen me interview Micah Ehlers a bunch of times, and he is a teacher of Gurdjieff's work, which is pretty amazing. It's had an enormous impact on me. I wouldn't have been able to dig in without Micah so quickly, to just really get into the culture of that work. There's a lot of overlap and similarities with mine. So Micah and I decided to offer a course in, get this, letting false personalities go. Now, this is something that the average person, they don't want that, right? They're, first of all, not aware of having false personalities, but you might be aware of having a split consciousness or inner conflict, or having voices in your head argue with you. One says get up and live your purpose. And the other says, no, I just want to lay here and rest and take in whatever. And it's not to say you shouldn't rest and take in whatever. It's that we have an opportunity as human beings to do this inner work, and it's kind of limited, and they're trying to make it even more limited, our time here. So it is a really special opportunity to go deep and find greater agency. So we talk about that a lot in the truth movement, that you see the lies and you see the crap and the corruption, and then you've got more agency somehow. It's not the truth of it. Those personalities, they will wrap themselves around multiple scenarios and situations and belief systems and all kinds of things. So it's pretty tricky. It's a tricky work. And even after, I'm more than 30 years into the inner work myself. And, those false personalities, when you see them, they're like, oh my God, they can be quite comical. They can be pretty intense as well. Some are more easily seen. Others are more hidden. I had a recurrence of one that I hadn't seen for a long time, since nearly 2015. When my father passed away, I thought maybe I was over that. related to King Heroes, related to my whole feminist indoctrination and my relationship with men and all that kind of thing. But if you actually desire freedom, which is a muscle, it takes effort to want freedom because people really want everything else more than they want freedom. But you take that on as a project and you see, like, for me, the more things go to hell, the more I know this is the only thing to actually be done in this world. And so it's fantastic that you can have breakthroughs rather quickly in combination with what Gurdjieff teaches, what Mike is going to be teaching about Gurdjieff's work, plus the deprogramming tools. You can have breakthroughs incredibly quickly. It's still the work of a lifetime. And, you got to really settle into the work, and it requires effort. But left to the devices of just, our normal everyday world, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to happen within us. And I was just hearing, I'll share this since, I'm wondering now if Drew actually is struggling with the time zone kind of thing. He's in the Pacific. He's in Vancouver here in Canada. They're 2 hours behind. So I'm praying that it's not a time mix-up. I have my messages out. And if for any reason it doesn't happen, then you just get to talk to me today, which is, I like that. I hope you're not disappointed. Drew is like amazing. I'm so excited to talk to him. Really genuine person, very rare. I'm always looking for rare souls. And so if you are one of those rare souls and you would like to come and join us in this course, then I would love to have you, host you. And let me see if I can grab a link without my notes shutting down on me. Did it? So there is a link in the chat, and I believe it's in the show notes below as well. And lots of things happening, pretty high speed. By the way, for those that are already members of the House of Free Will, which is my private association, if we happen to be new to each other, then you receive 33% savings. I didn't choose that number just to be spooky or weird. It just turned out to be that number. And so I will always give my own members the best possible chances and investments in my programs and my trainings. Journey Code is coming up. We're definitely going to be heading forward with an amazing group. People are signing up, and that starts in September the 16th with an orientation. If you feel it's in you to not only learn how to deprogram yourself and to become aware of that vast world that nobody wants to be aware of for the sake of freedom, put up your hands some way. Send me an email to beth@bethmartins.com. Hit me up on Telegram. I keep joking, send me a smoke signal. I'm responsive to messages. I love them. I was joking with someone yesterday about that I keep my notifications on. I want to see everything. I just want to be aware of, everything that's going on, especially in my world. And I'm going to go out of my way and scale tall buildings to respond, because I'm a connector and I love that stuff. And I'm wondering if we had a mix-up. But come and say hello in the chat if you're there. Come and say hi. How are you? Where are you? What's going on? Is it looking like spring or summer there? Maybe this will turn into a Beth of Fresh Air episode after all. We shall see. We shall see. But you can set these things up and send all the emails and let everybody know. And then sometimes things still don't necessarily go exactly as planned. Life is like that. Have you noticed? Life is like that. And I don't know if you heard my last Beth of Fresh Air. I talked about some of the revelations that I had at Confluence. One of them was around trust. Do you want me to share that with you guys again? It's so big. It's so big. We talk about trust a lot. It's a very popular topic in the New Age world. And but people don't really understand what that is. Oh, we just went live on Rumble. Good to know we're here live on YouTube and Facebook and Rumble. And the rare souls and trust. That's a property, by the way, of the child archetype. So if you haven't got into my system of archetypes, you can always visit my website and do a 10-minute quiz on finding out where on the path of purpose that you are. That's what those 8 archetypes represent. If I haven't flashed my book at you recently, here is a copy of Journey. It's a map of archetypes to find lost purpose in a sea of meaninglessness. I get such good feedback on this book. People read it once, maybe twice, maybe more. They mark it up. They write in there. They go back to things. Even I go back to things. And maybe I'll just show off this. I haven't, for the Creator Code course, I will be running that one again. I ended up making a nice journal for it so people can go and write their insights and revelations and everything. So it's pretty fun. Anyway, just showing off my fun things. And so the truth of who you are does have its, has some breadcrumbs in the archetypal world of patterns. So you know me, I'm a pattern hunter. Patterns are something that if you don't learn to read patterns at some level, you're never going to have a breakthrough. And the patterns inside are particularly hard to see. We are, actually Gurdjieff would call it, well, maybe this isn't the same thing, but we're kind of blind. He's third force blind. That's about action and passivity and neutrality. Anyway, that's a different subject. But we don't see ourselves. And when you see the patterns of even one archetype, this is how I saved my life from cancer more than 25 years ago already. I can't believe how long the time has been since then. Seems like a long time, seems like a short time at the same time. And by recognizing one archetype that was really severely out of alignment for me, I could figure out, which is usually program driven, but I could actually see beyond a shadow of my own doubt what was killing me, what I was losing my life to. Internal decisions I didn't know I was making, all kinds of contortions and loops in thoughts and beliefs about myself, about other people in the world. And when I saw it, and then I got clean with it, and I made new decisions based in freedom, then I turned the corner and I went from being told I wasn't going to survive at all to proving to them that, hey, that wasn't the truth of it. And so I was talking about the child and about trust. That's the first archetype in the hero's journey. I'll just riff while you guys are here for now. And so it's the beginning. Put your hand up if you feel like you're at the beginning again. These days in our world bring us to that place where, is this really just going to be a repeat of history, or is history ending? Right? There's kind of signs of that. Gurdjieff actually predicted 100 years ago, he predicted that, Allie McBeal is in the house. Nice to see you. She's got her hand up. He predicted that this would be the crossroads for humanity. I'm not trying to spread any doom porn here, but that this would be humanity's last chance for consciousness. And Artist Seer's here, so great. I'm glad we got a chance to meet live in Confluence. And so, no matter what, whether humanity survives or doesn't survive, to me, this is all that's to be done. To continue bringing ourselves into consciousness, into greater awareness. Now, you want to maybe go run and do that to somebody else? Doesn't work that way. It's just, that's not how we're built. We have been installed with the potential for free will. We make our own choices. Most people are making those choices unconsciously. That's normal. That's just the normal world. I had a beautiful soul sign up for my coaching training today, and one of the last questions. It's a hard choice. It's a big commitment. It is internally, it's going to change your life. It's going to. The people that go through that training have the biggest transformations of anyone in my life, because it's such a great commitment, not only to help yourself, but to help others. And so she asked me a very poignant question. She said, am I going to be alone? Is this going to be lonely? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Yes. The more you do the work and make the efforts to grow into greater consciousness, the more you're going to notice that people aren't there, and they might not like that necessarily about you because you're bringing their awareness to their unconsciousness. And if they don't want greater consciousness, then they're going to treat you, like, oh, better stay away from her kind of thing. So yes, that's true. That, it's a narrow path. That's a lot of different systems, like, the Bible and the eye of the needle. And a lot of people, the path less traveled, and a lot of different writers have talked about it. So that's why I create community. That's why I draw people to, my podcast. I try to have amazing guests for my own sake. This is also selfish. Like, I want to talk to people. As soon as I saw Drew, I totally wanted to talk to him. I'm like, I got to find that guy. I found him the same night. The next night we jumped on a call. We were on the call for like an hour. And so when I find these more rare souls out there, I am strongly attracted to them, and I gather them, and we get together in the house of free will. That's what that private association is about, where people can gather and know that we're there not to just repeat the doom of the day. There's never a shortage. Have you noticed these days? There's a lot of doom, the new fake stuff, all the fake stuff that they're trying to scare us with. And then the truthers all pick it up and analyze it and go through it and spend a lot of time with it. And in the House of Free Will, we spend our time more on solutions, on the inner work, on learning, on gaining our awareness at the same time as making relationships that would support that. Because it is actually super, super important. Technically, no one could do this alone, right? I came to this work through many different avenues. Now, my life forced me. It put me into a really tight corner where I didn't think I was going to survive. That pressure caused me to do inner work. I still didn't do it alone. I still had a lot of input, but I had to hunker down. And most people don't have that kind of bandwidth in their life. You don't want to be forced, right? That's why, again, I'm always banging the same drum, that if you can choose it before you're forced to choose it, and even when you're forced, you might not choose it. It's not a given. You have to actively put yourself out and do that. And so then, the child and trust. This is a very big part of this acceptance of the calling, because what to trust, who to trust. The child is desperate, wants to trust. But at the end of the day, almost everything disappoints, right? Almost everything falls through, even yourself. And the New Age will come along and say, oh, don't trust other people, trust yourself. Well, that's a psyop, at least a lie, or at least misled. Nobody, not necessarily everyone is actively misleading, and yet they are misled. This is a bad teaching. So I know I'm repeating this, but it's such a good story. When I saw Alec get on stage and talk about trusting God, full sentence, full stop, trust God, period, then I'm like, boom, you're so onto it. And it left this powerful impression on me. And I was able to take that impression, right? Just like moments on stage. Some of you might have seen the video I shared about that. He's just moments of him being there. I got this massive infusion, and then I carried that out into my life. And I had big revelations on that it's not, trust God so that you'll be okay. Because I know I've lived enough years now to know that everything does not go okay all the time by any means. Like, for example, I went to the border yesterday because there's all kinds of stuff I can't get in Canada. So I will make that scary drive and leave the country momentarily, because there's a little depot on the other side where I can get my packages and drive back in. Seems simple enough. And it has been simple enough. But, I'm a marked woman. And for some reason, I went into amnesia about the normal process that I usually take myself through. And I don't mean psychologically. I mean just like, adding up receipts and having a number and all that kind of thing. I had all the receipts. I just didn't do the adding. So when I got to the window, the guy was so mad at me. And I said, oh, I don't want to waste people's time. He's like, you're wasting people's time like this. So I sat and I did this, and then he sends me inside. Well, then they throw the book at me, and they went and they searched the truck. It turned out to be two women. It was much nicer. It wasn't that mean, angry guy at the window. The women were like just businesslike and even friendly and stuff like that. And nothing wrong came of it. I'm squeaky clean. I'm like my passport's marked, so I'm not going to be taking any chances whatsoever. It was just a delay. It wasn't. I wasn't abused or anything like that. But this is the way life goes. That if I trust God that I'll get through the border easily every time, that's just full of crap. That is very insincere. That approach will never actually, and it might work. It might get you into the places that you want to go to, or it might make you seem like you prevented a disaster. And I'm not saying you can't do that at times, but because life is here, this is a very hard life. Life on earth, we can romanticize it all we want. And yes, there's immense beauty and incredible potential, but it's a lot of suffering. Have you noticed that already? And that suffering is something that we either do consciously or we do unconsciously. And the unconscious suffering, hopefully at some point, will bring you to that point. Well, okay, if we're going to suffer here, then I'm going to take this on consciously. Why? So I can grow. So I can make good on it. That it's not just useless and meaningless suffering. So when I came around to this conclusion that, just trust God, don't trust myself, don't trust other people, neither mistrust myself, neither mistrust other people. That's the same lie inside. But when, and you could take this and practice it if you like, and when you just trust God or Creator or His endlessness, or however you want to name that nameless entity, it doesn't matter, then it is miraculous. Not because it's all gonna, it's like, oh, everything's rigged in my favor. No, it's not. I used to say that too. It's not all rigged in our favor. It's kind of, in a way, rigged against us. That's why it takes exceptional people to dig in and do the work to. Now, again, I'm so indoctrinated with, or not indoctrinated, but I'm just so impressed, I should say, with Gurdjieff's work. It's about removing some of the layers of laws that are on top of us to gain greater agency, not just lip service kind of stuff either. So anyway, there's my big talk and challenge to you guys. If you would like to take it on and practice that, just trust and watch. It'll show you how much you trust so that things will turn out okay. That part I dropped. And then that's when the full magic of that came in. Anyway, there you go. Miss Annie D is in the house. Happy Friday to you as well. And Ellie said, if we recognize we don't know what it would look like not to have a world opportunity for consciousness, then it is what it is, and not feeding the doom and gloom feeling. Beautiful. I love that. We recognize we don't know what it would look like. Yeah, that's actually, I remember reading that in one of Gurdjieff's books, that if you imagine what greater awareness would look like in your life, that's a very good use of imagination. There are all kinds of ways that imagination is an obstacle, believe it or not. And so, yeah. And then, yep. And we go looking for impressions of doom and gloom because it's a match with our own unconscious. It's a kind of, one aspect of it is looking for oneness. Because if you feel like crap, and have you ever noticed, if you feel like crap and you go and look at somebody who's feeling really great, it doesn't make you feel better necessarily, right? It can actually even make you dig in deeper to feeling like crap, or maybe you're going to feel like there's something wrong with them, or they're just having rose-colored glasses, or whatever the case is. And so, yeah, if you do your inner work, then you're going to meet plenty of doom and gloom inside yourself. I know, like, I'm even half smiling when I'm saying that. It's true. It's no little thing. It's big, actually. It's very big. I don't want to mislead anybody that work is easy. It's not. But if you allow yourself to just see the impressions that are already here, then yeah, what do you need to go out and take in the doom and gloom or feed it by spreading it around to others? So yeah, very, very cool, Allie. And I look forward to seeing you and your mom tomorrow in our course. And NADC things that seem like punishment are actually gifts. Maybe hard to see at the time, even impossible. Yeah, and it's you can make everything a gift. I don't really agree with punishment at all. I made a really weird experiment on my son and I didn't punish him for the most part, almost ever. I did try sometimes and it was always such a disaster for both of us, right? It never worked. And then I just like, okay, if that doesn't work, then what does work? I kind of came back to this place of, well, love, right? Love is what works. And so the experiment has turned out pretty good. I feel lucky for that. So yeah. Yeah, maybe hard to see. And yeah, so it's hard to see. It would be impossible to see because you have to make it the gift. That's what requires the effort. It's because it's not a gift. Say, you know, just like the injuries of life. Say when I nearly cut my finger off. Was that a gift? That was not a gift. But did I make good on it? Did I use it as a way to find some very deep and dark fears inside myself that my independence was over, that my work was over, that I'd never be able to play a guitar again, that my whole identity crumbled in the process if I don't have the work that I do, who am I? All of this kind of thing. And so I used it as a way to mine all of that stuff that as an able-bodied, fully digited person, I could suppress those fears. I didn't have to look at those fears because I can be independent and I can take care of myself and do all of these things. But as soon as it was threatened by this injury, then that stuff came up in Technicolor, and I could have chosen to look away and just wallow in my sorrows. And this finger would have sort of healed. It's sort of healed, like not totally, but I can play guitar again, which is amazing. And but you really have to transform that stuff. If you take a hit is a hit, and calling it a gift could be premature until you actually transform it and you receive whatever it brings up in you, right? So I'm not arguing with you, Annie D, just clarifying there how I see about that, because otherwise then it can turn into just suppression and just fooling yourself and sometimes justifying putting yourself in harm's way if you have anything to say about it. So I'm just picking on you there. But thank you for contributing. Well, I should have called this the Beth the Fresh Air after all, because here we are. And it's just me. I'm not hearing from Drew. I hope everything is okay with him. I'm thinking maybe it's just the time zone thing. So, and I always like to give the benefit of the doubt rather than, I'm pretty sure he's not blowing me off. It's so interesting how you can conclude. So here's something, you guys, maybe you can help me with this, is that every time and this is where I can watch my own conclusion. Every time I post about an interview can be my Telegram, can be Facebook, can be Instagram, could be X and stuff like that, I get like zero engagement. So I think, oh, there's nobody there, or I'm being suppressed, or they don't care, or, something, right? Like, so I noticed that there's some conclusion. Now, when I posted pictures from Confluence of me and my son and people that I saw there and clips from workshops and stuff like that, then it's like, oh, there are people out there, and that's so cool. That's more fun by far than just putting things out into the ethers. But I'm just curious, like when you see those things, is it, I don't know, maybe they get suppressed because something? I don't know what. On Facebook, it might be because I do post a link to the blog where you can get all the links. I don't know. Maybe I should stop doing that, but it's always so useful for people to be able to jump on that way. And hello, Lewis. Nice to see you. And thank you so much for that acknowledgement. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. What happens when I hit this button? Nothing. And you're with me. Awesome. Well, come and say hello if we don't already know each other. If I'm not recognizing your screen name there, come and look me up. And I'm so glad. That's so fun. There are the rare souls out there, and that's why I'm willing to just keep getting out here and beaconing to them, because that's something that if you don't put yourself out somewhat and let yourself be seen and show yourself for what you value and what you think, and dare I say believe, even though I don't really adhere to many beliefs, though I know I still have a bunch that I haven't undone, then nobody could find you, right? They can't, if they can't know you, they can't find you. If they can't hear you, there can be no way for them to measure whether you'll get along or not. And have you ever been in chats with people that, you see all kinds of, you see the people that are with them, you see the people that are against them, and the trolls and people that don't care. And, you get this massive mix. And for the most part, where it comes to things that happen in my world, it's not mixed. It's people that already know, oh, okay, yeah. I listen to Beth talk, and I've listened to her guests, and I align at some level. I'm with you, right? And then so we can get along, and that's helpful. Now, friction is inevitable. It's so inevitable. It's just going to happen. It's part of how life works. It's part of the, if you could call it design, I don't know. I'm not sure anymore. It's so easy to romanticize the way that we are on Earth, and as if it's all so perfect by design. It's like, no. Gurdjieff says we're not even at a normal human level yet. There was an event. I won't be able to describe this in super lot of detail. I'd have to go back to Micah for this, but there was an event where there was an installation of an organ in human beings, and I believe it was called Kunda Buffer, and it made everybody entirely asleep. There was like no chance whatsoever of what he calls self-remembering, knowing who you are. And so that organ has since been removed, but we're still acting like it's there. We still act like automatons, mechanically going through life, uninterrupted, deciding everything unconsciously based on fear. And Ellie said, if it's your people, then it perks your ears. Exactly. You perk up, and if it's not your people, you won't perk up. That's why I don't mind. If people generally don't get perked by this stuff, then they just move on, and it's no conflict, and it's no problem. And I'm not trying to get the masses of people. I want those that have a spark. Maybe they got completely disillusioned. How is an organ removed? I don't know. I just told you almost all I know about that. And is it is it an organ the way we think of the kidneys or the liver or the heart, which is maybe not exactly an organ? It's a muscle, or was it something more on the etheric level as an organ? There's probably many organs we're not aware of, many senses for sure we're not aware of, many emotions we are not aware of. This has been a big revelation in my work as well, because I teach the scale of emotion. And I have said it's hardwired, that this is somehow by design, by God's design. My paradigm worked pretty well. It made a lot of sense, and it was practical. It was usable. And oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Adrenochrome. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's maybe, yeah. I don't know how that's related exactly, but intense. And so it turns out that there are many more emotions available to us than you could even possibly imagine. And what we're mostly stuck with are what Gurdjieff calls the negative emotions. And this I had discovered, that Even what we call positive emotions up in the high end of the emotional scale, courage, acceptance, and peace, they all mirror lower emotions, or like the strings on a guitar, when you pluck one, they hit another tone, and that tone, um, there's a resonance. So even when we're in our high energy, and people really love that high energy, and it's very easy to attach to, but they don't want to see how it's actually embedded with the low energy at the same time. Oh yeah, the organ they removed. Okay, I still don't totally get it. You might have to unpack that even more, Allie. So yeah, it's no, I don't get it. Keep trying if your hands aren't too full. Very good. So yeah, I think this isn't going to happen with Drew. Apologies for however that happened. I'm not hearing back from several messages now. So I don't know. What do you guys want to do? As long as you want to stay here, I'm good to hang on. I should have called this the Beth the Fresh Air. And I guess I still could. Let's do that. Last time it was Rewind the Pandemic with my friend, or that was one of the last times. I had a little arc going, talking about little aspects of my work, but I think I've pretty much done that. There we go. Magic. It's Beth of Fresh Air now. I have yet to come up with an image. What would you guys think of image-wise if I was to create a little doohickey logo kind of thing for Beth of Fresh Air? What kind of images come to mind? Air is transparent. There's one emoji that kind of looks like air. Or what happens when you type in wind to an emoji? Let me see if I can try that. Wind. Yeah, so it's the same as fast. Wind and fast. And there's somebody blowing. Oh, there is a breath. There is a breath emoji. So maybe something along those lines. I don't know. But yeah, so that Kunda buffer, we're acting like it's still there when it's not. It's more like the shadows. Sometimes programming is like that. When you let go of a particular layer of a program, and it's so incredibly obvious to you on the other side. When you did that, it's just like night and day. You literally see things differently, and that's the proof of the release. And then you might go along and run into the cobwebs of it, or the impression of it, or like homeopathics, for example, when you take a substance and you break it down and dilute it so many hundreds of times that it's not that substance anymore. It's just the blueprint of that substance. That's another level that the programs can show up in. I think it's kind of like that with Kunda Buffer, where we are responding to it like it's still there, because it's like a shadow or kind of imprint kind of thing. We are so imprintable. It's unreal, really impressionable. This is something I teach about a little bit in one of my courses, and around the somatic side of things. And our brain is a kind of wax-like substance. And one of the words that they came up with cerebrum and cerebellum with is because the cere means seed. And seeds, if you've noticed, are a wax-like substance. So if you take a little tool, you can easily groove into them and carve into them. They are soft. They're made of a lot of fat, actually. So is the brain, as a matter of fact. That's why the brain is particularly vulnerable to the toxins that are fat soluble, but though not only, of course. And so that's a big problem right there, the great poisoning. And now I want to talk about Love Your Liver. Where was I going with that? I can't remember. Kunda Buffer and the impressions, and we're so impressionable. It's because our brain like literally takes on. You must have heard this before, where what you pay attention to, you become. You take on those impressions. And I haven't got to quite the bottom of this yet, but Gurdjieff talks about impressions like we need impressions. That we, in fact, it's food for us to have impressions, and we couldn't live without impressions. So that was so interesting to me. And then he says that the negative impressions, like we were already talking about, are a setback. It's filling you full of maybe junk food or, a lot of toxicity, which everybody can see for themselves. And then the good impressions would come through supportive relationships and relationships where you are deciding at some level to grow and to expand out of your capacity, your current capacity, to become more purposeful, to become more alive, to be of greater service to others. The brain is like a walnut, NED. It's like the same exact shape as that walnut with the two hemispheres. Exactly. I know. Yeah. And very similar substance. And so that, it's always ready to take on whatever is being offered to it. So you have to start to be choosy. And Gurdjieff even used the word isolate, like isolate yourself. In a way, I don't like that word because I don't like recommending that people go and be alone all the time. And yet, if all you have available is the negative impressions, then is it not better to create your own impressions that you could grow and feed on and look for a good friend or two, for example? And there we go. I thought that might have been. And you want to learn about the electrical signals emitted by the body and how. Well, this is fascinating. And this does help me kind of segue over into talking about the latest Love Your Liver thing. Put your hand up if you're already in Garrett Smith's Love Your Liver program, or you have been engaged with his live streams, listening to those, or maybe you've been hearing me talk about it. And my good friend Dagmar Stansova, who came on, and we talked a lot about, we did a big series on a low poison life. If you go back in my episodes of, was it the Beth of Fresh Air, I think, or it might have been Yin on the Rocks? No, I think it was the Beth of Fresh Air by then. And so electricity is something that the natural health world puts out as, we need this. We are electrical beings and we need this. I think there's some truth in it, because when you look at the electrolytes, right, they're named after electricity. We need magnesium. You cannot do well without magnesium. Eventually, you won't be able to live without magnesium. Same with potassium. How many elderly people end up in the hospital because their electrolytes are off? They're not getting potassium. That's why they tell those older people, eat a banana every day. It did help. I remember my grandma, and she could stay out of the hospital. Your heart won't beat without those electrolytes. Same with sodium, right? Sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium's in there. Calcium's a little bit different. We don't need nearly as many as we used to. Now, the interesting part, and everybody's got their hands up here. Nice, that's awesome. And yeah, how do those electrical signals work? Now, I can tell you how they are grossly interfered with is through metals in our bodies. And what we've called heavy metals, it's not accurate actually, because one of the heavy metals is a necessary nutrient. It's called zinc. So what you can talk about instead is toxic metals. And most people know a bunch of these, right? They know about lead. Everybody is all lead sensitive in their awareness, and they're like, "Oh, does that have lead? Does that have lead? I don't want that." And for the most part, they don't build lead into our worlds that we know of very much anymore. Some people have also been aware of iron toxicity and too much iron in the body. Lots of people lack iron. There are some highly nuanced reasons for that as well. People are just starting to learn about copper. Copper is one of those metals that the natural health movement has elevated and said, "Oh, you need copper. It's necessary. Drink out of a copper cup and eat off copper plates and put copper supplements in your body." Well, please watch those influencers and watch them over time. You can easily go back in their history and find something from, 3, 5, or more years ago, and look at them, and then look at them now after all of that copper. Same thing with people eating the organs in the body. Speaking of organs, and yeah, that's where I'm headed, Heather. By the way, yeah. So that's the punchline, and then it turns out Heather's talking about this, that the low nickel protocol is pointing towards the fact that nickel is a heavy metal. It is at least 10 times more toxic than copper, which is very toxic. And here's the kicker with the electricity. I know it's taking me a while to make this point, but have you noticed that they make batteries out of nickel cadmium? Well, that's what they're trying to turn us into. So if we're all chock full of metals, receiving signals and transmitting signals and acting like a battery for the wrong things that we don't want, then what a perfect metal to make ubiquitous in our environment, right? Turns out it's really freaking everywhere. It's very much in our air here in the north, where we had to put a lot of salts and sands and craps that get that all of the exhaust emissions have high nickel content that gets trapped in all the dust. As soon as the spring comes and they start sweeping that stuff up into the air and you're breathing it, it's full of it. I'm hearing the, if I can say the word, chemtrails is all full of that. Your cookware is all full of that. Your food is all full of that. The low nickel diet is very narrow. Speaking of narrow paths that I talked about earlier, this is a very narrow diet. But I'm going to say right now, for anybody that's thinking like, oh my God, I got to go and take all the nickel out of my world, you have to approach this really responsibly with knowledge. Don't jump in. I jumped in. Garrett jumped in. A whole bunch of people around Garrett jumped in. And it can be quite a big backlash because nickel is in a huge, yes, transhumanism, NAD, exactly. Nickel is in a huge rush to get out of your body because it's so poisonous. I mean, nickel's not in a rush. Your body is in a rush to get rid of it. So the moment you even start reducing nickel, like the day that I swapped out my cookware from the pans to the metal pots and pans to glassware, I had a massive backlash. And I'm not even really fully on a low nickel diet, but I've reduced at least half, maybe more. And I've been humbled by this metal. Holy mackerel. And it might be a very big answer, so stay tuned with that stuff. Garrett's done all of these live streams that are pretty epic. Some of them up to 4 hours long. Why are they 4 hours? Because in addition to him really loving to talk and share, there's so much research. And this has all been clouded in as an allergy, that people are just allergic to this metal. Some are, some aren't. And they consider it to be like an on-off thing. And it's like, no, in reality, those people who have an allergy, when they pick up a chain, here's a chain I'm probably not going to wear again, when they pick it up, and then they get a reaction because they touch the metal. You won't see me in jewelry anymore. I'm just over, at least for a while. Maybe on special occasions I might. And then so it's because you're so incredibly high in nickel that you add the tiniest bit more absorption through the skin, which is very real, by the way. Then your body flips out. It's going like, don't do this. There are people that have already healed major eczemas in a very short time. That's the beauty of this. The other stuff is a lot of slower cooking, longer term, and the nickel's in a hurry. But you have to be so respectful of what can be backlash, and start. And this coming week, Garrett is going to do a stream on how to prepare yourself for a nickel diet, because we've had a harder time with it. But I've seen some pretty big breakthroughs as well. In fact, I'm always sharing way too much TMI here on my streams, but I'll share this with you guys anyway. I had a thing on my lip. It's been there for a lot of years, and it's kind of like a raised thing, and it's black inside. You ever seen old people with black things on their face? This might be nickel related. Well, I was just kind of wondering about it the other day, and because it's the same, it's like a blackish metal kind of color, and I'm just like wondering about it, not really doing anything about it. And then yesterday, all of a sudden, it broke open and it started to let the metal go. By 24 hours, it's like 95% gone. That's how fast this metal is moving out of your body, given half a chance, right? But if you're heavily into the intoxing of the nickel, your body won't be prepared to let it go. It just doesn't work that way. The math doesn't work. The triage doesn't work. You might die of it when you have so much in your system. So yeah, that's been dramatic. Wow. Intense. And live streams are awesome. They're way more fun because I could have been sitting here talking to myself the whole time. It's by far more fun to talk to you guys. And yet it's absolutely part of that whole transhumanism by degrees. Do you remember everybody was chirping about the graphites and the injections, poison injections, and the nanobots and stuff? I found those things. You guys might know if you were listening to me back in those days. I found those stupid bots. Now I'm wondering, like, are they also nickel driven? Because that's like a battery. It's a power source, right? And so the graphite, turns out, is actually a nickel kind of alloy thing. Garrett showed all of the research on his last live stream about that. That was like, wow. And what was the glass beaker I was drinking out last night? Oh, last week. That was. Did I say it wrong, Annie D? It's graphene, not graphite. Yeah, I think you're right. Graphite is what, pencils? Yeah, thank you for that. And the glass beaker I was drinking out, just one of my cups, just one of my mugs. So now I drink out of a jar. I have some malic acid in here. I made my own potassium malate. I never thought I would be so handy in the biochemistry or in the chem lab here. And NAT said, you have a little black thing in your face you think might be from migrated broken fillings. Yep, exactly. Fillings, if you have metal in your mouth, for sure there's nickel in there. That's part of what they call, is it a mercury amalgam? And nickel is part of that. Very sadly, part of that. It's pretty awful. And yeah, I know there's little things all over your body that you get used to, and you get like, I never, thought anything would happen of this, and then just like all by itself, it's going through a healing process just because I've reduced the nickel. Heather said, I spent the morning backfoot backward walking. Excellent. Playing with your dog in the sunshine. Nice. That's wonderful. Refreshing. I think nickel is a very big factor in blocking proper detox. I agree. Absolutely agree with that. Yep. And for the record, it's graphene, not graphite. Okay. Sorry for that. Yep. Very good. So cheers to this potassium malate. It's really good. It's for the brain as well. It's malic acid is part of the Krebs cycle, so it helps with energy. And I was pretty happy, actually. I've got a really good relationship with malic acid. It's in apples. Eat apples. It's full of that stuff. Yeah, and indeed, from what I understand, the macadamia nuts are the one nut that are not high copper, and from what my research says, also not high nickel. So somebody just refuted that yesterday. I don't know. My friend Dagmar, she has completely ruined me pretty much forever with macadamias because she's been in California. She sent me a nice package of a bunch of these fresh macadamia nuts. Oh, they were so good. They were just like, it was, I had to mourn when I finished them because now I have to stalk her to send some more. And then I got some from the store the other day, and they're like, now I know they're rancid. I want to go and give people advice, like, put those things in your fridge. Don't sit them on the shelf like that. They seem to have a much more delicate oil. And so, yeah, the macadamias are delicious. And, on a Love Your Liver diet, you don't get a lot of fat. So for an undertype like me, I love those things. And I will have to move to California for that reason. We might be going to California. If you guys haven't heard, Joel Schaefer's doing a workshop there in the Redwood Forest somewhere, is undisclosed location. And it's going to be a lot of the movements that his practice is teaching. Oh, fridge. Yeah. Yeah, fridge those up because that's where rancidity happens at room temperature or worse. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's going to be in the redwoods. It's going to be a totally outdoor 3-day event, which is kind of fascinating. It's like, will there, if it rains, do we need an umbrella or something like that? Or that's kind of fun. And I don't know where to stay. Traveling is just such a shit show, though. You guys, I'm amazed I haven't been completely discouraged and let myself be grounded forever. I did during the pandemic. Obviously, we couldn't get on a plane without poison injections and stuff like that. But we've traveled quite a bit in the last while, and it's just always such a task, and a tax is actually what I meant to say to my health. It's always a setback. There's always recovery. There's always you know, unexpected stress intensities and stuff like that. Hello, Mr. Rick Bonner. Nice to see you. And you said you're always on the lookout for proof that we're on an earth of abundance, like there's more than enough for everybody. Nice. That's a good worldview to have. Definitely. It's better than running around being scared of lack all day. Ali said, you'll have blanched almonds once in a while. You tried the macadamias, but don't like them. The only thing with the almonds is that they're high copper and they're high oxalate. So I don't mean to blow your pleasure on the blanched almonds, but those are probably peeled, right? When you blanch an almond, it won't have the peel on them. So I think that's actually quite a bit better. A lot of the nickel, especially in nuts, and yeah, almonds will be high nickel, does exist on what they call like the germ or the skin or the bran or something like that. That's why in the low nickel diet, you're not doing whole grains anymore. Like, can you think of anything? Talk to anyone in the natural health world and tell them the whole grains aren't actually really good for you. And they're just going to walk away and roll their eyes. So what form of potassium? There are a lot of forms of potassium. I did a deep dive in this because with a lot of copper toxicity, you need a lot of potassium. Now, nickel detoxing might change that. I notice my hunger for potassium is not at a screaming level anymore. There are so many different kinds. So you got potassium gluconate, which is a very gentle one. That's the one, if they're going to give potassium to children, that's the one they give to them. So that's like the most easy to digest. There's potassium chloride, which is the same as our sodium chloride, just swap out with potassium. That's harder on the gut, but it's stronger. You can get bigger doses of potassium with it. Don't take it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. I made that mistake a lot and finally learned that that's not a good idea. And what other forms of potassium do you get? You get potassium bicarbonate, which is how I make my what's called potassium malate out of the malic acid. I also make potassium pitolate. So that's another form of potassium, which is made with pyroglutamic acid and the potassium bicarbonate. So that's another form of potassium. And that's all I can think of off the top of my hand. And avoid potassium iodide. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. Yep. Avoid iodide. Exactly. That's another one of the natural health psyops that we were victim to is taking iodine. Your body actually will make it, and it'll makes it in the right amount that you have. And there might be rare circumstances for using iodine. I was doing that every single day, and I have the most. I prepped iodine for the apocalypse, so I got this super high quality stuff, and now I have these bottles, and I think they're expired by now, and yeah. Anyway, potassium is in molasses and bananas. Yeah, bananas are a really good form of potassium. Green grapes are a decent source. I believe apples have some. Coconut water has potassium, although you don't want anything else from that coconut. You just want the water because that's very high metal in the flesh of the coconut. So yes, I don't know about molasses. What did I hear about it? I heard something recently, and that's why I gave mine away. I had prepped some of that, but I never wanted it. I never liked it. This is something that I appreciate about the Love Your Liver is that what you want can come from two places. What you want can come from an unhealthy addiction, like in my world, in the deprogramming world. It can come from the the desire for wrong experiences. Like when you run a lot of fear programming, you actually want more fear experiences. That's why people go to horror movies and they do terrible things to themselves and to other people. Just, it unfortunately matches up with the programming. And where was I going with that? Can't remember. Sorry, you guys. And indeed, so you saved me with another comment. So basically, the opposite of everything Matt from Cultivate, Elevate preaches. I'm sorry. Yes, yes, I know exactly. Look at he's exactly who I had in mind when I said go back and look. Look at Joel Saladino. Same thing. He's been, he started off carnivore and heavy on the organ meats. Well, he got loaded up with metals on the and you can see when you look at his current pictures, it's different. What is the main symptom I'm seeing is like red and skinny. And I'm skinny over here too. I'm not calling the kettle black. I'm just hip to those things. I invited Matt for an interview a while back and he refused. And I wonder if it had something to do with that. But yeah, okay. Following your instincts a little bit, following your, what we call instincts, intuition. Do I want this? When I have the malic acid, I'm like, yum, yum, yum. I can't, I'm like, right. And then there will be other supplements where I'm like, yeah, no, nope, I just don't want that. I'm not having that. You can't make me. And so you can trust your body, except that your so-called instincts can come from different places. Is it fear or is it love? Then I would say if it's love, it's really your true instinct and intuition. And if it's fear, then that's programs. Molasses is high sulfur. Very good to know. So sulfur is another poison. Thanks, Heather. You are a wealth of information. And molasses is high in copper too. There you go. Yeah, so I knew there were reasons I didn't want that anymore. I just didn't like it either. It was one thing. I thought sugar was going to disappear. I make kefir, my own kefir water, and it requires a special kind of sugar, which is high in nutrients. And molasses is high in nutrients, and you can make a proper brew out of it. I never liked it. I just thought if we can't get sugar, then my kefirs won't die. So probiotics have been good for people that are in this low nickel kind of thing. And yeah, it's different. Wow, it's different. Craziness. So let's see. Anything else you guys want to talk about? What's going on with you? I am not hearing. Oh, darn. Oh, shoot. So I'm hearing from Jude. Give me just a second. I say I started an hour ago. He says, when do we start? Are you free now? All right. So at least something. He obviously typed really quick because I can't understand the message, but that's okay. So let's see. And Confluence and Elemental gathering sounds good. Yeah. I had originally thought to go to Missouri for the Elementals gathering with Topher and all those guys. Now I'm so glad I didn't book that because I would be there right now, I guess. I would have to have traveled again. And it would have been way too soon. So yeah, maybe August for Joel's workshop would be good. And we shall see about that. I don't know if I need to just ground myself and be done with it. So, deja vu on people being an hour late. Interesting. Did that happen to me? It has happened every so often where people came late. I was hoping he wasn't 2 hours late because then I'd be 2 hours into it and then in it for another. I'm sure it's going to go 2 hours with him if he has the time, that is, because he has so much to share. There was one thing while we're waiting that I saw my admin on Telegram shared today. And it was very, very apropos. It's a bit long, though. I think it's like close to 10 minutes. Maybe I'll just tell you about it. And it's about somebody who was in jail and had a girlfriend that was still out in the wild. And they created this system. He's in the US somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but they created a system for addicts that they could get housing. So they were approached. It's very much related to today's topic in terms of safe supply. And so a lot of addicts were given housing along with, a contract that thick, which was interesting. Of course, none of them know how to read it or probably even read it. They just signed, and they were also happy to have a home. Like, wow, amazing. Because being on the street and being in a home is pretty different. You guys know that, right? And so it turned out that this so-called home, and they had been built during the pandemic, high speed, building out all of these kind of complexes and apartments where all of these addicts live. And they basically facilitated them to continue being addicts. That's when the whole, fentanyl thing exploded on the streets. It was post-pandemic. Remember that? Where did all those drugs come from? And so what this guy is saying is that his girlfriend is reporting they are all dying in there, and that there is some kind of installations in the buildings. When you go and you look on Google Earth, you can see they're definitely electrocuting the people in, slow, like we were talking about earlier with the EMFs and all the metals and everything like that. And that they all reported hearing voices. Now that can go with drug addiction, and especially meth. That often opens the doors to demonic worlds. I've interviewed people about that. And then they were all dying really quickly. And this girlfriend of the guy managed to keep herself relatively clean, and ate meals and slept and didn't overdo on the drugs and stuff like that. And she's busy watching everybody die off. And is that the plan of our so-called safe supply? Right? That because what, safe supply, it's an oxymoron. Every single time somebody gets drugged up, they are getting poisoned. And poisons accumulate over time. Most of the drug addicts are young, so they can withstand a lot of hits. I know I took so many hits as a young person, and I I would feel it a little bit, and then I'd be as if over it. But it's those accumulations layer up, and all of a sudden you're up to your eyeballs and you don't know what to do. So anyway, that was pretty cool to learn about, or pretty not cool to learn about. If you haven't already joined me on Telegram, I will invite you to do that now. It's kind of fun to have good people around. And Annie D said, yes, I think a few people miss the time difference. I get confused by it. It's designed to cause chaos. I know. I literally have accumulated trauma about time zones over time. It gets worse. But luckily this is all recorded so people can catch it. I don't often beg people for support, but this, it's insanity. If you do get some benefit from these live streams and you appreciate the work that I'm doing, could you help me share it out? That would be awesome. Am I being so suppressed? Sometimes I get off these live streams and it seems like there's less views than there were people in the live stream. And I've been at a flat line of subs. I don't know, people are just maybe not coming and stuff like that. But if you feel to be of any assistance, I would appreciate that. And Rick, yes, I'm not fond of molasses yet. Would I ever turn down a good home-baked molasses cookie? Yeah, I would. I would. What would I go for? If I was going to cheat on everything and have a cookie, right away comes peanut butter to mind. I might be hungry. And even though that's poison, like crazy aflatoxins and stuff. And Andy says she's been asking that for a long time, but nobody at the level of doing things is changing or challenging it. I missed the plot. I'm sorry about that. Where does the supply originate? What mob organization is bringing it in? CIA or otherwise, right? They're pharmaceuticals, you guys, right? They're made and manufactured. Yes, you can have a lab. Yes, you can make your own labs and do that stuff to make it like en masse, so the masses can have it. That's not like private. house basement labs or whatever, stuff like that. Hello, Veronica Schwartz. Nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. Did you think it just started too? Really great to have you here. I'm so glad. That's awesome. And she's part of the Love Your Liver world too, if my memory is good, if you're the Veronica that I know to be in, and I won't say for your privacy, I'll just think it. And that word, it's funny how I look at that word and then I don't want to say it, but I don't think that's a buzzword. But the cocaine importing agency went out of style. New malfeature creatures are doing, the fentanyl democide. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and that cocaine is no slouch in terms of doing people in, but that's much slower. I think fentanyl's a quicker death. Aren't they involved? Aren't they much more interested in speeding things up now? Oh, and this is the catch, that part of that big amount of paperwork that everybody who signed on to get that place to live as an addict, it included a life insurance policy. And this is in the US. It might not happen quite as easily in Canada. Maybe it would. But the life insurance policy, every time they died, somebody got paid. Holy crap, right? So definitely come on my King Hero chat. If you didn't see it, here's the link. If you want to see that was very relevant to today. So I am still not hearing back from Drew. He said, I just got hike from a procedure at the hostile. When is we start? So he's definitely stressed a little bit there, moving fast. Do you ever think about like getting to a moment in life where, say, people, when they faked the 9/11 stuff, is that bad? Should I say that? And then they were going, oh, people were texting their loved ones, and can you imagine how those texts would have read? Like, have you ever tried to text somebody fast and it's just this gobbledygook comes out and you hit send and you pray for the best and nobody can actually understand anything that you said? And those texts under pressure. Wow. I do a fair amount of talk to text, but it mangles it, right? It certainly doesn't know how to spell Gurdjieff, let's say. I would love it if it would realize that the House of Free Will is a name of something and to capitalize those letters, but it doesn't learn the right things. It learns other things. And I'm going to be having Mike Winner on, by the way. You might have heard. He gave a great workshop on digital sovereignty. And my friends said, like, okay, let's go watch this workshop. I might not have done it because now the word sovereignty, believe it or not, it's kind of a turnoff. It usually ends up being about fake law or something like that. But I went, and I was so glad that I went because it's really valuable information. And part of it was how to, I use some AI in my work now. It's a godsend. God bless my assistant for helping me. And then, if I can just have AI proofread an article for me or something that I've written for a course or something like that, it's amazing. Or, just different things. I use it for a lot of research for coming up with the ratios of mole to mole in potassium and malic acid or something like that. And but Mike can teach you how to make a local AI. So it's only on your computer. That means that it doesn't send information. In a way, I don't mind having my work in ChatGPT because I'm hoping it'll catch on. It'll teach it and maybe pass it on or something like that, or start teaching my courses or something, because that's good stuff. But who knows? So yeah, having it local on your own computer would be incredible. And apparently it's through Telegram. So maybe I'll ask my admin if he knows about that. I bet he does. I hear one of my longtime students, her son figured all of that out, how to do local AIs on computers so that the data doesn't get harvested. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. We don't have a date yet, but it'll be coming up. And let's see, what else? Do I have anything else scheduled? I'm going to be on Don Lester's show coming up soon. She's going to be on my show on the 15th. Oh yeah, one other thing I was going to say, if you guys don't know, if for those of you that joined the Love Your Liver program with Garrett Smith, then I am now doing weekly and free to members only deprogramming sessions, because I know what a great boon it was for my own health to be able to do that work. That's how I was doing everything wrong, but I still saved my life because I was able to work with my own psyche, release patterns. It brought energy back into my system. So now I'm doing that every week. It might not be forever every week, just kind of experimenting with it. People came, they got the benefit. People worked with me. They had transformations, live time, and they didn't even really know about it. They might have heard me talk about it, but they'd never done it before, and that was fantastic. So if you're not already a member of Love Your Liver, then I do recommend it as an education. There's nothing like it. It is breaking news all the time because they're breaking ground. They're always trying to help people to the next level. And so in the House of Free Will, which is my private association, I'm going to be sharing the recordings of those sessions, which it's not, there's no easy way to share it through Garrett. So he's given me permission to share it in the House of Free Will. You just have to be a member of both the Love Your Liver and the House of Free Will to get those. So yeah, I don't know what to say. Poor guy, maybe he's struggling or suffering or something like that. I'll just say maybe we can reschedule. There you go. I'm patient. I don't mind waiting for a good interview. And I thank you guys for being here, joining me anyway, keeping me company, be lonely. Otherwise, be all alone. So yeah, anything else going? I know we got some boogeymans. They've tried so many boogeymans on us, since the big boogeyman of 2020. Nothing is stuck. The headlines make it look like this is sticking, but nothing's sticking. Come on, right? It's just a bunch of crap. I try not to look at it very much, just enough to know that it's happening. And that's that. So I'll just repeat what we have coming up tomorrow is the end of the False Self course. This is a co-creation with Micah Ellers. He is a filmmaker and an acting coach and a teacher of Gurdjieff's work who goes very deep with that. We're going to be combining the deprogramming and his acting coaching in the work. So it's entirely practical, not just sitting listening to philosophy. Someone I was talking to, they were like, oh no, I can't take any more philosophy. And it's like, oh, well, there's going to be some talking, but it's going to be mostly actually doing and using acting tools as a way to role play and bring the false personalities up. Have you guys ever done any role playing before in any kind of context? It is super fun. It's always a big surprise because something comes out of you that you didn't know was in there. And it's, like I was doing a little bit of this with my advanced students in the coaching training. And I was myself playing the role of a difficult client, somebody who was in resistance, somebody who, didn't really want to release. Like, yeah, they showed up to a session, but they're just like digging their heels in and they don't want freedom because they want to just rather blame people, or they want to keep on externalizing the problem, never wanting to find it inside themselves and take it out. So I got to play this difficult person, which was actually very cathartic for me. Over the years, I've been blessed with incredible clients. They almost always come to me with a willingness and an openness, almost always. But sometimes they come to me and then they push against me in the process. So I got to play one of those people. And it was so fun to watch because it brought things out of me that without that opportunity to role play with that, I would have never found that inside myself because I don't really, identify with that. That's not necessarily an authentic part of me, but there it was in some form. Now, it's not necessarily like a direct translation. I'll be somebody else's difficult something. It's, it's about internal awareness. People feel to be one person. If I ask Annie D, how many people are you? She's going to say one. I bet Rick's going to say one and Veronica will say one. We're just going to say one. But I know this from a lot of experience and a lot of the deprogramming work that I've done on my own and with trainings and teachers. And hello, Quietly Content Bear. Nice to see you. Glad to have you here. That's lovely. And I have at times released to a point of the revelation that, in fact, I am just one. Now, this is different when we just think of ourselves as one and the experience of that oneness. Those are different. And it was totally obvious to me because otherwise we've got all of this stuff going on inside of us. We've got multiple conversations. Have you ever talked to somebody where maybe they were, this often happens in a family. So you have a little like, and there's like some negative energy with a family member. And then the phone rings and they pick up the phone. They're like, oh, hello, how are you? Nice to see you. And they're all like bright and bubbly. But meanwhile, they were just like giving you a shit talking or something, being mean to you or bumping up. And so we have these internal different facets. They're literally personalities. They are constructs that you put together with your thoughts, with your feelings, with your beliefs, and very much with the programs. And there's attachment to them because they appear to be who we are. They feel like who we are. But if you're brave enough to see the difference between who you are and who you feel to be, then you'll start to be able to recognize, oh, not really me, not actually me, not in reality me. And Maya is here. Yay, Maya, I was missing you. You remember the role play sessions, you loved them. Yeah, they're so fun and spontaneous. You can't script those. A lot of acting is scripted where they're going through the motions, but these are much more, what do you call it? There's a word. Do you remember that word? It's when you don't script it. What is that word? It escapes me. I need more malic acid. There you go. What is that word? Improvise. There you go. Improvise. See? Malic acid worked. And improvisation is great because it's where you're always surprised. That's why like a lot of the music that I will do, just especially through singing, that I don't know where I'm going. I'm not going to be necessarily singing a song that I already have memorized and know all the words to. I'm going to be going off the map and trying things, improvising, seeing what's inside there. Thank you. Thank you. We got it at the same time there. Quietly Contented Bear. Quietly Content Bear. I always add a contented in there. But that's nice. I like your name. And at this stage of the game, I'm thinking it's a reschedule for Drew. If you want to go and find him, I will give you a couple of little links here. He is on the front line. He would have told the story, and we'll probably tell it again, how he, I think, died twice, at least once. He's been stabbed. He's flatlined on the table at the hospital. And yes, Maya, it's more organic, but improvisation is the word that I was looking for there. Yeah, it is more organic for sure. And so he is out there on the front lines every day. It kind of sounds like he's been out there during this interview. If you're not familiar with Canada and Vancouver, there's a street called East Hastings. This is always bad. I used to do a lot of trips to Vancouver in my younger days. And it's always been where, the worst poverty, the worst drug addiction. East Hastings is literally famous around the country for drug addiction and homelessness. And that's where he spends his days. I was going to talk to him a little bit about entrepreneurialism because in order to support his podcast and to be on the streets and be of service in the way that he wants to be, and to expose the lie of safe supply, which this interview was going to be about, then he has 4 businesses that keep it all rolling, right? And that's a beautiful thing. If you gain your freedom in the work world and then you have that much to give back as a result, then that's really cool. So you can click on that link. It is going to be in the notes below as well. Is that true? I think so. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll go check that. And yeah, you can see he's got a lot of clips and wow, the world out there. Oh my goodness, I would not be out there, but he is, and I'm grateful for that. And I might sneeze. Hang on a sec, you guys. You know, when the sneeze is just sitting in the back. Say, am I coming? I might not. So there you go. All right. And then coming up this Monday, I'm going to be getting this already on the weekend. On May 11th, I'm going to be hosting Future Man. His name is Roy Patton, a really beautiful soul. And I just happened to meet him. If you have a chance to look up Bella Fleck and the Fleck Tones, I should probably spell that for you guys because it's hard to spell, I should say. This is a great band. They're true musicians, and you'll see Future Man. He is the founding drummer of this band. They still play now and again. They're not a regularly touring band, but they do events and stuff like that. And so Future Man, I'll just call him that. Roy, he is a fan of the hero's journey. He's doing a deep dive. He can't get enough of it. When he heard about me, I sent him a copy of my book. So we're going to have a fantastic talk on Monday. I think 1 o'clock. No, noon. Actually, he needed it to be a little bit earlier. So noon, 12 p.m. Monday the 11th is the next time I'll be on. And I think that's really all for today. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I apologize that it wasn't what I expected, but I can only take care of my part. And I do recommend looking up Drew, and with any luck, we'll be able to talk again. If you come on to my Facebook, or Telegram, I can share Shadow Davis's interview of him, which was very good as well. That's what inspired me to reach out and meet with him as well. So, but yeah, I think I'll call it a day for now. Kind of talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. It was great to see all you guys. Thank you so much for coming out. And I'm going to play us out with one of my son's clips from, there we go. I am going to sneeze. So just in time, I'm going to play the outro. Love you guys. It's funny. Now, I'm a split personality, Beth of Fresh Air, King Hero's Journey. It is all the same around here, but not really. Okay, you're very welcome, artists here. Nice to see you. Bye for now.